सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So, as promised by the teacher, that I shall explain to you all the answers of all the questions that you have asked. 6 out of 7 questions are answered, and now Guru has started to answer the 7th final question, tayoho vivekah kathaṃ, how to distinguish between both of them, the self and the not self. Paramah ka atma, kosavanatma paramah ka atma tayor vivekah kathaṃ. What is the how to distinguish between the self and the not self? That is the question that is being answered now, and we saw that in this section, which is of prime importance to the text because the text title is Vivekachoodamani. So Viveka is the very important topic of the text, and this particular section starts from 149, goes up to 240, around 100 verses, and two main concepts are covered here. One is tvaṃpada vichara, through that how to distinguish between the self and the not self, and tatpada vichara, how to distinguish between Brahman and the world. So these two topics are covered in this section. First topic is from 149 to 224, and then 225 to 240, tatpada vichara also is there. Now in this first topic, what is covered? The 5 koshas are covered. The 5 sheaths are covered. What do you mean by 5 sheaths? The so-called layers on self which, so to say, cover the self. Earlier we had seen 3 shariras as the upadhis of the self. Remember the 3 shariras, Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. Now the same concept of 3 sharira rearranged into 5 is called as 5 sheaths, pancha kosha. So Shankaracharya in the very first verse of this section said, koshaihi annamayadyehi panchabhihi atma na samvritah bhati nija shakti samutpannaihi shaivalapatalayhi iva ambu vāpīstham atma samvritah san na bhati. Atma is as though covered and therefore is not seen. Why? Because of the 5 sheets. Like what? Like the water in the tank which is not seen because of the moss that is born from the same water. So moss covers the water which is born from the same water. In the same way, the 5 sheets cover the self which exists because of the same self. Now, because of these 5 koshas, since the self is not seen, the solution to see the self is to remove 5 koshas. To remove 5 koshas means, do I have to destroy the 5 koshas? No, I only have to disidentify from the 5 koshas. Tatchaivalapanaye samyak salilam pratiyate shuddham trishna santapaharam sadyas saukhyapadam param pumsaha panchanamapi koshanam apavade vibhati ayam shuddha nityanandaikarasah pratyagrupaha parasvayaṃ jyotihi. When these 5 koshas are removed, negated means what? Negated as not me. The problem is not the 5 sheets. The problem is our identification with the 5 sheets. Somehow the covering is what we think we are, and therefore we fall into the trap of samsara. Disidentifying from them, saying that I am none of these, what will happen? Nityananda ekarasah pratyagrupaha shuddha paraha svayaṃ jyotihi ayam atma bhavati vibhati. That self will shine, okay, which is of one single essence of eternal bliss, of the same nature of inner self, of pure nature, of consciousness. That self will shine. Like what? Like when the moss is removed from the water, the pure water appears, which can remove the thirst and also give joy for the person. In the same way, when the 5 sheets are negated, remember, negated is the word used, not destroyed. We don't have to destroy the 5 sheets. We just have to negate them by saying, I am not this. That's it. Right? And therefore, why am I not able to see the self? Because it is, so to say, covered by the 5 sheets. How to see the self? Negate the 5 sheets, you will see the self. You will experience the self. So, Atma Anatma Vivekah Kartavyah. So, we must do Atma Anatma Viveka. Atma Anatma Viveka, discrimination between the self, who am I, and the not self, who am I not. Vidusha Bandha Muktaye. By the wise, for the liberation, for the purpose of liberation, one should do this Atma Anatma Viveka. Tena eva Anandi bhavati swam vidnyaya satchidanandam. By that alone, by that Viveka alone, one will gain the knowledge, vidnyaya. By gaining the knowledge of the inner self, one will gain that supreme bliss. One will become mukta. That is what Shankaracharya had said. Now, one more example he had given and concluded the topic. What was the topic? Why are we doing this Panchakosha Viveka? One more name for the prakriya, for the methodology. Earlier the methodology was Shariratraya Viveka. How to distinguish between the self and the 3 bodies. Now the methodology going on is Panchakosha Viveka. The methodology of discriminating self from the 5 sheets. Why it is to be done? Because these sheets are covering the self. This is why I identify with the wrong, with not self, and become samsari, become sorrowful. Therefore, I must negate them. One more example was given in 153. Munjadishikam iva drishyavargat pratyanchamatmanam asangamakriyam vivichya tatra pravilapya sarvam tadatmana tishtati yaha saha muktaha. Munjat, from the munja grass, ishikam iva, that stalk is to be separated out. So munja grass is to be separated so that inner stalk will remain. In the same way, the self, which is the inner core of these 5 koshas, the 5 koshas are to be negated so that we get the self. That was the example. In the last session, we also saw 3 important concepts. What? Number 1, what do we mean by kosha? Remember, the word kosha means sheath, covering. Kosham, koshavad achchādakatvat kośaḥ, because it covers like an enveloping case. Therefore, it is called as kosha. And in this case of the self, it is so to say covers the self. It is not actually covering the self. It is only covering the self from our vision. The self is all pervasive. It cannot be covered by the 5 koshas. Right? It just hides the self from our vision. That's it. It covers our vision of the self. Right? And what do we mean by kosha? It covers means what? It takes the form of what it covers. Point number 1. It covers what it is enveloping. And number 3, it is not what it covers or what it envelops. 3 things. Then second point we had seen was, in all the 5 koshas, there is one word which is common, and that is maya. Annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, anandamaya. There that maya word is in the meaning of vikara, vikararthe. It is in the meaning of modification, not in the meaning of prachura, full of. Isn't it we saw last time? Chinmaya means what? Full of consciousness. Chitmaya. Tejomaya. Full of brightness, light, consciousness. But here Annamaya doesn't mean full of food. It means modification of food. Pranamaya, modification of vital air. Manomaya, modification of mind. Vijnanamaya, modification of intellect. And Anandamaya, modification of bliss. Okay. So 5 sheaths, Annamaya, Pranamaya, etc., we will be calling as what? The food sheath, the vital air sheath, the mental sheath, the intellectual sheath, and the bliss sheath. What we mean? The food sheath means what? That which is modification of food. Vital air sheath means what? That which is modification of vital air. This point we have to remember. In English, that maya meaning is not coming in the title. The food sheath. Anna kosha. Anna maya. That modification we have to remember. Okay. That is very important point. Now, last thing that we saw was these 5 sheaths which are arranged in this particular order. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. They are in the ascending order of subtlety. So each latter is subtler than the former. Point number 1. Point number 2, what do we mean by subtler? Subtler means difficult to comprehend. Easy to comprehend is gross. Difficult to comprehend is subtler than that. So it is, each latter is subtler than the gross. Number 1. Number 2, latter is more pervasive than the former. Say, I am not going to explain now. Explanation has happened in the last session. Each latter is more pervasive than the former. Number 3, each of the latter governs or controls the former. Correct? And 4th important point, I am neither of these. I am neither the latter nor the former. I am the self. Okay? With this much understanding, now let us enter into the explanation. The first kosha is taken now from verses 154 to 164. And the way Shankaracharya explains here is that he will mention what is that kosha, and then he will explain why this kosha cannot be the self, so that it helps us to discriminate. It helps us to disidentify. Okay, that is the purpose. Let us read. So first verse will explain what is that kosha. What do you mean by Annamaya kosha? Verse number 154. Deho'yamannabhavano'nnaMāyāstu kośaḥ.
Deho'yamannabhavano'nnaMāyāstu kośaḥ.
Cānnena jīvati vinaśyati tadvihīnaḥ.
Cānnena jīvati vinaśyati tadvihīnaḥ.
tvakcarmamāṃsarudhirāsthipurīṣarāśiḥ.
tvakcarmamāṃsarudhirāsthipurīṣarāśiḥ.
nāyaṃ svayam bhavitumarhati nityaśuddhaḥ.
nāyaṃ bhavitumarhati nityaśuddhaḥ.
deho'yamannabhavano'nnaMāyāstu kośaḥ. cānnena jīvati vinaśyati tadvihīnaḥ. tvakcarmamāṃsarudhirāsthipurīṣarāśiḥ. nāyaṃ bhavitumarhati nityaśuddhaḥ. Very, what we can say, mellifluous, this flowing poetry. What is Shankaracharya saying? Ayam deha, this body, this physical body, this that you can see, no, this body, annabhavanaha, is the house of food. House of food. Okay. Nice name for the hotel. House of food. But here Shankaracharya is calling the body as the house of food. Why? Because indeed this physical body is born from food, grows because of food, goes back to become food. The physical body is formed from food. No doubt the food that your father ate, the carrots and brinjals, that only was transferred to your mother, and then inside the mother this physical body was formed. And what mother was eating, by that your physical body was also being fed when you were in the mother's womb. Then when you came out, you were fed with the food for the physical body to grow. Isn't it? And when somebody dies, the body goes back to become food for other beings. True or not? So it is born from food, it stays or grows because of food and goes back to become food. So this is the house of food. Ayam deha annabhavanaha, and therefore annamāyāstu kośaḥ. Therefore indeed it is called as annamaya kosha, the food sheath. It is the modification of food. Every single thing that we eat modifies and becomes part of the body. True or not? Even now what we eat, the nutrients are taken and the waste is thrown out, and that nutrients only become the body. Different parts of the body. Right? So this physical body, what earlier we saw as gross body, sthula sharira, is what is called as annamaya kosha. Okay. Cha annena jīvati, and also annena jīvati, it lives, it grows, it is sustained by food. Already we have seen. And also vinaśyati tadvihīnaḥ. When the food is not there, the body gets destroyed. Without the food, body dies. Body gets destroyed. So it is sustained, it lives because of the food, and when the food is not there, it gets destroyed. Therefore, what? this physical body is called as Annamaya Kosha, the food sheet. Okay, very good. So far, no problem. Shankaracharya sometimes says few things which we all accept very easily. Now what does he say? tvakcarmamāṃsarudhirāsthipurīṣarāśiḥ. Now such phrases are going to come again in next 10 verses. Rashihi. Rashi basically means heap. Heap. H-E-A-P, heap. Or bundle in English we can say. This physical body is a heap of what? Of all these things. What are all these things? Tvak. Tvak, the inner skin. Charma, the outer skin. The outer skin. Māṃsa, muscle. Rudhira, blood. Asthi, asthi, bones. Bones. Asthi, okay, not asti. Asti means is. Asthi, bones. Purisha, filth. All the waste products are also there inside the body only. Whatever we are eating, the waste products are still there. So the body is heap of all these unholy things. See, we somehow, earlier also we had seen this concept that any of the part of the body, if it comes out, it is so ugly. It is just a beautiful packing of all the, what can we say, filthy things. Fact. We are very interesting people. As long as it is packed beautifully, we like it. If any skin layer, anything comes out, I don't know. I really appreciate doctors when they open the stomach, etc., and see inside. No, oh God, how can they do? You know, they must have done some great sadhana to do all that, because to see inside what all things are there. Now, what is the point? How can this body nāyaṃ svayaṃ bhavitumarhati? How can this body be the self? Why? Nityaśuddhaḥ. The self is ever pure, and this physical body is filled with all the impure things. See, he is not mentioning tvakcarmamāṃsa, etc., to tell us what the body is made up of. He is telling you, see what the body is made up of. All the impure things. How can this body be the self which is ever pure? Ayam svayam bhavitum na arhati. This body itself cannot be the self. Why? Nityaśuddhaḥ. Because the self is ever pure. Okay, but I am not convinced. What that nityaśuddhaḥ has to do with all the impure things which are outsidely impure? For the self, everything is pure, isn't it? Okay, fine. I know you would not agree so easily. Let me give you more reasons. So now Shankaracharya starts to give more reasons in next 4 verses why the body cannot be the self. Let us read. Verse number 155. Pūrvaṃ janeradhimṛterapi nāyamasti.
Pūrvaṃ janeradhimṛterapi nāyamasti.
jātakṣaṇaguṇo'niyatasvabhāvaḥ.
jātakṣaṇaguṇo'niyatasvabhāvaḥ.
naiko jaḍaśca ghaṭavatparidṛśyamānaḥ.
naiko jaḍaśca ghaṭavatparidṛśyamānaḥ.
svātmā kathaṃ bhavati bhāvavikāravettā.
svayaṃ kathaṃ bhavati bhāvavikāravettā.
pūrvaṃ janeradhimṛterapi nāyamasti jātakṣaṇaḥ naiko jaḍaśca ghaṭavatparidṛśyamānaḥ svātmā kathaṃ bhavati bhāvavikāravettā. Now the series of faults which are there with the body are pointed out. Janehe pūrvaṃ, before birth, api, and also adhimṛtehe, after the death, nāyamasti. See, pūrvaṃ janehe adhimṛtehe api nāyamasti. This is not there. So before the birth, the body does not exist. After death, body does not exist. So, jātakṣaṇaḥ. So it is only lasting for a moment. jātakṣaṇaḥ. It only lives for some time. Not only that, kṣaṇaguṇah. It has guna, qualities which are kṣaṇa, which are fleeting. All its qualities are fleeting qualities. There is no permanent feature in the gross body. They say, suppose I touch any part of my body, I take my hand away and again touch. 2 times I have touched different things, they say. Because the moment I touch it, it has undergone modification. So the second time I am touching something else, not something that I touched just a second before. That fast it is changing. In last half an hour that we are in the class, so many of our cells are dead and so many new cells are born. We don't even know. But it is changing. They say within 7 years, except a few brain cells, all the cells of the body, they die and new cells are born. So 7 years back, my body and today's my body, there are very few cells which are common. All other things are different. Continuous change. That is what is the characteristic of the body. And therefore it is called what? Aniyatasvabhāvaḥ. See the next word? jātakṣaṇaḥ, kṣaṇaguṇah, aniyatasvabhāvaḥ. It is of uncertain nature. Ever changing is its nature. Okay? Not convinced? Okay, few more. Na ekah. Another problem. See, atma ekah. There is one self, non-dual. But the body is not one. Not one means what? 2 ways to look at it. There are many bodies. Isn't it? Everybody who is attending the class. So many bodies. One meaning. Second meaning is the body itself is made up of so many parts. Na ekah. It is not one homogeneous thing. It can be broken into parts. Hands, legs, head, trunk. It can be broken into parts. It is not one homogeneous thing. Na ekah. It is diversified. Yeah. This I agree. Jaḍaśca. Arey what? Biggest problem. It is inert. It is inert. See, body is inert. This is something that Vedanta tells. According to science, this is living being. Okay? But we say agreed that this is living being, but it is not because the body is living. Because there is the existence of life principle that enlivens the body, because of which the body moves and appears to be alive. The moment that life principle leaves, the body becomes inert. Means what? Earlier also the body was inert. Just as I can take my watch in my hand and move, It is because I am moving, the watch is moving. The moment I keep it, the watch cannot move. In the same way, the life principle, me, that self is present in the body as the reflection of consciousness. Therefore, the body is moving. The moment that reflection of consciousness leaves, body cannot move. So, even when the body seems to be moving, it is still inert. It doesn't have sentiency inherent to it. Earlier, we had also seen one logic. Whatever is seen is inert. Yat drishyam tat jadam. Can you see your body? Yes, I can. Therefore, it is inert. And what is inert is different from consciousness, is different from the self. Therefore, svātmā kathaṃ bhavati. How can this body be one's own self? The same logic Shankaracharya has given, okay? Yad drishyam tad jadam. Same logic. He says, ghaṭavatparidṛśyamānaḥ. The body is seen as an object, like a pot. Like you see the pot and whatever you see is inert, you are seeing the body. Therefore, body is also inert. Ghatavat, like the pot, paridṛśyamānaḥ. It is seen as an object and therefore it is inert. Therefore, it is different from me. Okay? Alright. So, svātmā kathaṃ bhavati bhāvavikāravettā. Now that Atma is given one adjective. Bhavavikāravettā. Vetta, knower. Same dhatu, vid, from which the word Veda has come. Same dhatu, vetta, knower, witness. Witness of what? Vikara, modifications. Modifications of what? Bhava. The word bhava can be understood as things or thoughts, feelings. Any meaning can be taken of the word bhava. But what it means, that it is the knower, witness of the modifications of thoughts, modifications of feelings, modifications of things. The self is the witness, whereas the body is that which is being witnessed. The self is the seer, body is seen. Drigdrishya viveka, those who have studied the text will know this kind of terminology more. Yo yasya drashta satasmad bhinnaha. The seer is different from the seen. Since the body is seen, it is not me. It is object and not the subject. Okay? So, svātmā kathaṃ bhavati. How can it be the self? How can it be the self means it cannot be the self. Okay? It is not a WH type of question. It is a rhetorical question. Okay? Don't start explaining how can it be self. It can be self because, no. How can it be self means it cannot be self. Rhetorical question. Now, one more reason Shankaracharya gives, the Guru gives, why I am not the body. Why the body cannot be the self. Let us see. Pāṇipādādimāndeho
pāṇipādādimāndeho
nātmā vyaṅge'pi jīvanāt
vyaṅge'pi jīvanāt
tattatchakteranaśācca nāyaṃ Pāṇipādādimāndeho nātmā vyaṅge'pi jīvanāt tattatchakteranaśācca nāyaṃ. Pāṇipādādimāndeho. The deha, the body which is having pani means hand, pada means legs. The body which is having hands, legs, etc. na atma is not the self. Why? Vyaṅge'pi jivanat. Because it exists even if it is vyaṅga. Vyaṅga means vigata anga. Iti vyaṅga. See, V plus anga becomes vyaṅga. Anga means part. Even if a part is removed from the body still exists. That's why Shankaracharya here explains pāṇipādādimāndeho. He is explaining body as the what we say assemblage of parts. Hands, legs, etc. are the parts of the body, isn't it? Now suppose my hand is not working, therefore they ampute my hand, they cut my hand, but the body still survives. Vyaṅge'pi, even when the anga is vigata, is gone, jivanat, the body survives. Vechi, that is okay. So you are saying that when the part of the body is gone, the body is there. That is fine, but that cannot be the reason why it is not the self. What? That is not clear. He explains. Tat shaktehe anashat cha nāyaṃ niyamyah. See, it is, what is the point there? Tat shaktehe anashat. When the hand is cut, the physical hand is cut, the power is not cut. The power which was there in the hand to hold things, that power is not destroyed. When the hands are gone, that power is still there, which means what? That which controls, careful, that which controls is still there. That which was controlled has lost a limb. The controller is same. The controlled has lost a limb. And since the control is not touched, since the power which resides in the controller is same, the rest of the controlled body continues to survive. Tat shaktehe, of individual powers, anashat, non-destruction. Because of the non-destruction of individual powers, the body still survives. And therefore, the body is niyamyah, that which is ruled, that which is controlled. Na niyamakah, it is not the one who is controlling. So even when the parts of the body are destroyed, the power that enlivens those body parts is not destroyed. Are you getting? And therefore, the body continues to function. It may not be able to carry out that function because that part is not there. Not because the power is not there, but the part is not there. Sometimes in your laptop, many of you, I understand, are not very comfortable with laptop. You are using the laptop to attend class, etc. But your relationship with the laptop is exactly how most of the males, giants, they have relationship with cooking. They are not very comfortable with it. You see, they do it, but they are not comfortable. At every moment, hey, what happened? Suddenly something happened. It is boiling. Wife says, nothing happened. You continue. Let it be fine. It will be fine. Why? Because you are comfortable. The person is not. So many of you, I am sure, are very much uncomfortable with the laptop. Sometimes what happens, suddenly the screen goes off. And you don't know. I didn't touch anything. Then you start looking. son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, husband, somebody, wife, somebody is there who knows this. Please fix this, please fix this. It is gone, everything is gone. My classes are gone, all my... The son calmly, quietly comes. Just touches one cable behind the screen and the screen comes out. The class is still going on. The Zoom is still open. All the files are, everything is there. Why? Because only one aspect had gone. What? The cable that connects your CPU to your monitor was loose. It came out. But the monitor stopped working. CPU was still there. All the functions were happening. Why? Because the power was not gone. The display was gone. The power was still functioning. In the same way, when the hand or the leg or a part of the body is removed, the power is not destroyed. Therefore, replacement is also possible. Knee replacement, eye replacement. So the faulty instrument, the part of the body you remove, you put some other part, it functions. Why? Because the power is still there. What does this prove? This proves that the body is not the controller. The body is controlled. Body is not the ruler, na niyamakaha, but it is ruled, niyamyaha. And therefore, there is something other than the body, behind the body, enlivening the body, who is making the body function. That is the self, not the body. Clear? Clear? Robots, etc. they make, no? Robots. So they make a robot. Now, robotics is a complete different science. Those who have studied electronics, etc. So whenever robots are discussed, don't immediately think that the robots have hands and legs, okay? Most of the robots don't have hands and legs. Robot is basically a machine that carries out a definite function. So it is a gross body without the subtle body, basically. But it has a subtle body. That is called as program. The program that runs that robot. It can be a pre-defined program or operated program, mobile operated or whatever nowadays, latest technology, Wi-Fi operated, whatever. What happens is, sometimes when that, you must have seen, there is a robot fight also happens. Are you aware of all these things? In engineering colleges, in their events, etc., there will be fights between the two robots. So the robots are inside the ground, battle robots, yes, correct. So that is inside and the controller, those who have made the robot and who are controlling, are outside that square or circle. And they fight. And what happens is, between the two bots, they have, between the two fights, they have some break. So whichever limb is broken, etc., you can fix another limb and make do with something and then continue the fight. Why? Because even when the limb is broken, the power is not gone, you see. Same concept. What does it prove? It proves that the robot is not on its own. It is being controlled by someone else. In this case, someone who is outside the robot. Whereas in our case, it is someone who is in the body, in and through everything, who is controlling. Who is making sure that the body functions. So the body, since its limbs can be changed, amputated, and still the body does not die, does not stop functioning, that proves that the body is controlled and not the controller. And therefore, pāṇipādādimāndeho na atma. Therefore, this body which has different limbs which can be removed, replaced, etc., cannot be the self. Okay? Fine? Okay. Now one more reason. What? Now he says, who is that self? Let us see. Verse number 157. Deha tad dharma tat karma tadavasthādi sākṣiṇah sata eva svatah siddham tadvihīnaḥ deha tad dharma tat karma tadavasthādi sākṣiṇah sata eva svatah siddham tadvihīnaḥ. First and second pada together is one word. Deha tad dharma tat karma tadavasthādi sākṣiṇah. One word. Sākṣiṇah, of the witness. Of the witness? Witness of what? Deha, body. Tad dharma, its characteristics. Its characteristics? Characteristics of the body. Tat karma, functions or actions. Its functions or actions. Its functions or actions of the body. Tad avastha, its states. Different states of the body. Adi, etc. So for the witness of the body, its characteristics, its functions and its states, etc., of that witness, satah, of that existence, that witness is the existence, sat, satah shashti ekavachana, satah, of that existence, atmanah, last word of the verse, of the self, tadvailakṣaṇyam, distinction from it. Vailakṣaṇyam, distinction. Tat, from it. It being different from the body, svatah siddhameva, is indeed self-evident. What is said? Let us understand. Simple. There is body, there is self. Who is the self? The self is the witness of the body. Is it just the witness of the body? No. It is the witness of the body, its characteristics, its functions, its states, etc. Now, what do we mean by witness? The witness has to be different from what it witnesses. The seer has to be different from the seen. And therefore, since the self is the witness of the body, witness of different characteristics of the body, witness of different functions of the body, witness of different states of the body, the self is definitely different from the body. And therefore, the distinction of the self from the body is self-evident. Svatah siddham is proven by itself. Svatah siddham. Just now we said, yo yasya drashta satasmāt bhinnah. That which is the seer of something has to be different from that thing. Ghatasya drashta ghatād bhinnah. The witness of the pot is different from the pot. In the same way, dehasya drashta, dehasya sakshi, dehat bhinnah. The witness of the body has to be different from the body. Okay. Okay. So body is different, the self is different. Fine. Arey idiot, that means I am not the body. Body is different, self is different means, there are two things, one is body, one is self. No, the second thing is me. And here it is said, I am not the body is different from me. Why? Because I am witnessing the body. I am witnessing the characteristics of the body. Isn't it different organs that I have? I know whether they are functioning correctly or not. Their functions I see the hand moving, I see the hand lifting, I see the legs walking. I am seeing its functions. I am seeing its states. Now the body is slowly becoming, old. Grey hair has started coming. It's becoming fat. That is also avastha only. Thin, fat. I am witnessing everything that is happening to the body proves that I am different from the body. Why? Because the witness has to be different from what it witnesses. Yo yasya drashta satasmat bhinnah. One who is the witness of whatever has to be different from that. Okay. Now, Shankaracharya comes back to his original reason. What was the original reason? That the body is the heap of impure things, whereas the self is pure. He comes back to that. Next verse, let us see. Verse number 158. Shalyarashirmāṃsaliptaḥ malapūrṇo'tikaśmalaḥ kathaṃ bhavedayam vettā svayamētadvilakṣaṇah. Shalyarashirmāṃsaliptaḥ malapūrṇo'tikaśmalaḥ kathaṃ bhavedayam vettā svayamētadvilakṣaṇah. What is this body? Shalyarashihi. It is the Rashi again, heap of shalya, bones. Māṃsaliptaḥ, covered with flesh. It is the heap of bones that is covered with flesh. Malapūrṇah, full of filth. Mala, full of filth, dirty things. Atikaśmalaḥ, extremely impure. Extremely impure. In the puja, etc., when we are doing puja, if our body touches our own body, any other part, we have to wash the hands. Do you know this? When we are doing the puja, and that's why, suppose I am doing the puja, okay, I did the achamana, etc., purified my hand and everything with the water in which I have invoked Gangaji and all the other rivers. Suppose I am scratching, or suppose I am touching my feet, I have to wash my hand and then continue the puja. You imagine how much impure is our body. The body that has just taken bath and come directly to the place of worship, if my own hand touches other part of my own body, I have to clean. Why? Because it is impure. Atikaśmalaḥ. Shankaracharya says this is not impure, it is extremely impure. Ati. Why? Shalyarashihi māṃsaliptaḥ. It is a packet of bones covered with flesh. Malapūrṇah, full of filthy things. Atikaśmalaḥ. Ayam, this body, svayaṃ, itself, vettā kathaṃ bhavet. How can it be the knower? Why? Etadvilakṣaṇah. It is different from this. That knower is different from the body. How can it be the body? How can the body be the knower? You explain to me that. That which is extremely impure, how can it be that pure consciousness? Capital K knower. How can it be? Capital K knower means what? Not the knower just as our mind is the knower. As a thought it knows. No. It is the witness that is called as knower. It is the capital K in knower. How can the body be that? Body is full of impure things. It cannot be that. Okay, this is the... So, Shankaracharya has given number of reasons explaining why the body cannot be me or I cannot be the body. Important verse is 155. Okay, that covers most of the points. Okay, so many reasons are given within one, that the body does not exist before birth and after death. It is existing for a very short time. It is changing continuously. That is its nature. It is not one. It is diversified. It is inert because it is seen, because of all these reasons. Okay. So that is the important verse to understand. Now, in next two verses, what Shankaracharya does is, he says, what is the difference between the vision of a fool, of an ignorant person, and of a wise, of a jnani. Let us see what Shankaracharya is saying. 159. tvaṅmāṃsamedo'sthipurīṣarāśā
tvaṅmāṃsamedo'sthipurīṣarāśā
aham matim mūಢajanah karoti vilakṣaṇam vetti vichārashīlah nijasvarūpam paramārthabhūtam tvaṅmāṃsamedo'sthipurīṣarāśā aham matim mūಢajanah karoti vilakṣaṇam vetti vichārashīlah nijasvarūpam paramārthabhūtam. Very simple Sanskrit actually. All of you will be able to understand the meaning. See, tvak, skin, māṃsa, seen already, flesh or muscle, medas, fat, asthi, bones, purisha, filth, rashi, heap, rashau. In this heap of skin, flesh, fat, bones and filth, mūಢajanah aham matim karoti. An ignorant person has the feeling of I, has the notion of I in this body, which is actually a heap of all these impure things. Mūఢajanah tvaṅmāṃsamedo'sthipurīṣarāśā aham matim karoti. So an ignorant person considers the body to be me. The body which is made up of all these things is considered to be me. Whereas vichārashīlah, a thoughtful person, a thinker, vilakṣaṇam vetti. The thinker understands that it is vilakṣana, it is different. What is different? Nijasvarūpam, one's real nature. Nija, one's own. Swarupa, nature. One's own nature, a thinker understands, vetti, knows to be different, distinct from the body. What is one's nature? Paramārthabhūtam, supreme reality. So a foolish person, a fool considers oneself to be the body, has the notion of I in the body. Whereas a thinker understands that I am that supreme reality distinct from the body. Understanding the difference? A fool thinks that I am the body. A thinker knows I am supreme reality different from the body. That's it. That is the point that Shankaracharya is saying here. But Vedji, why? Shankaracharya is telling us, don't be a moodajana. Don't be a fool. Use your brain. Become vicharashila. Then what? Then you will understand that I am the supreme reality, I am not the body. That is the point. Okay. So, an ignorant person considers the body to be the self. A thinker, a wise person understands that I am the supreme reality which is different from the body. I am not the body. I am something higher. I am that supreme Brahman, not the body. Okay. Same concept explained in the next verse, but here he has divided into three. So a fool is there, a wise person is there. In between these two, he has created one more category. Let us see. This is the master stroke of Shankaracharya. You see, let us read verse number 160. Deho'yamannabhavano'nnaMāyāstu jadasya buddhihi.
Deho'yamannabhavano'nnaMāyāstu jadasya buddhihi.
Dehe ca jive vidushastvahandhihi. Vivekavidñānavato mahatmanaḥ. Brahmāḥamityeva matis sadatmani. Deho'yamityeva jadasya buddhihi. Dehe ca jive vidushastvahandhihi. Vivekavidñānavato mahatmanaḥ. Brahmāḥamityeva matis sadatmani. Deha aham iti eva jadasya buddhihi. Jadasya, of a fool, of an ignorant person, buddhihi, thinking, notion, iti eva, this much alone is the notion of a fool. What? Deha aham, I am the body. So I am the body is a feeling, thinking of a fool. Now, what is the second category Shankaracharya creates? Vidushaha tu. Vidushastu ahandhihi. That is how you have to break the last word of the first line. Vidushaha tu, but for the learned. Now here learned means a person who has got mere bookish knowledge. Has not got experience. Is mere, has heard few things from here and there. Has not got experience. For such a person, dehe cha jive aham dhihi. His notion of I is in the body and in the jiva. Means what? An ignorant fool says, I am body. A learned, a mere intellectual says that I am the individual who has the body. He is not saying I am aham deha. He is saying aham jiva. I am the jiva who has the body, who possesses the body. But Vivekavidñānavatah mahatmanaḥ, but for that great sage, great person who has got Vivekavidñānavatah, who possesses Vijnana, experience, direct experience of the self, which is born from Viveka, from the discrimination. For such a person, Brahma aham iti eva matihi. What is his notion? His notion is, I am Brahman. Sadatmani. Sadatmani can be broken in two ways. Sat Atmani, in the self which is eternal, or Sada. Always he has this mati, this feeling, Atmani, in the self. About the self, he has always the feeling, what? Brahma Aham, I am Brahman. So it is not actually a feeling now, it is a conviction. That word Sada with mati. You see, Brahmaham ityeva matihi sada Atmani. If you break like that, then it means that such a person, one who has got experience born out of discrimination, has got a firm conviction that I am Brahman. So an ignorant fool says, I am body. Mere intellectual says, I am an individual associated with the body. I am Jivaha. Whereas a realized master says, I am Brahman. Okay? Sufficient for today. Now what? Now Shankaracharya says, therefore, O my dear, what? Please give up your notion of I in the body. A loving advice the Guru gives. Atra atma buddhim tyaja mooda buddhe. Oh fool, please give up this notion of I in the body. And then what? Understand that you are Brahman. We'll see the verse in the next class. Okay, sufficient for today. See how Shankaracharya is presenting the thoughts. So crystal clear, but see the poetry. That's why in the beginning we had said, Gurudev also says, it is philosophy married to poetry. Brilliance. Shankaracharya's brilliance. Alright, let us conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.